There it is. So I believe that we should, Democrats in positions of power should try to apply pressure, should try to push back, should use their influence. But most importantly, yeah, Tulsi is anti-Medicare for all. I know. Why aren't they there? The people of the party are there. It's not acceptable. Leadership isn't there. If they have no threat of not staying in leadership, what's the point? Pelosi was speaker for 2 years with no Medicare for all vote. What's your plan to force her to get a vote? Why aren't they there is the real question. We watched the presidential debates and saw how many fiercely defended our for-profit insurance system, but know that the movement pressure, positive support, primaries, popularity, organizing, etc. is working. More co-sponsors now than ever. Would love for Democrats to be on the record denying their constituents health care during a pandemic. Sounds like good politics for the progressive movement and our goals. I respect that in an important way. They are on the record. There are 118 House Dems who have publicly signed on to guarantee health care during this term. They are listed here. That sounds like 118 House Democrats who can use their leverage to get a Medicare for all floor vote. It's unacceptable that 118 coalition of Dems who support Medicare for all cannot even get a vote. Something to consider. Ultimately, I don't think that this is a bad idea. Incrementalism is good now, Hasan. Johnny Brasco 97, I believe you have never listened to my commentary if you think that I'm anti-incrementalist. I think that you truly have probably never, ever been in here unless you are just here and annoyed and just to talk about how annoyed you are. Incrementalism is something that I, of course, believe in and something that I literally fucking advocate for on a regular basis. Okay? Decent take, but how mainstream would this get through since it's not since like it's Obamacare anymore? I was in Justin's dorm freshman year of college, guys. So damn nice and insightful, super smart and involved in all his classes and extracurriculars too. I hope he gets into politics after his NFL career because he'd be a banger congressman. I love Justin. He's great. He was a fucking machine. He was a goddamn machine at getting people to go out and vote during their primaries. Criticizing Jimmy Dore without mentioning Tulsi challenge? Well, I did do that. I criticized Jimmy Dore for how wrong he was in the conversation between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump all the way back in 2016 when I debated him on this matter as well. So that has nothing to do with Tulsi Gabbard. I've known Jimmy Dore for a very long time. I will always respect him because he spat in Alex Jones's face. So, I mean, here's AOC in her own words, repeatedly endorsing the strategy of forcing a Medicare for all vote. We don't have 100 years. We have Medicare for all now. It just takes courage. What changed?
Democrats.
Hi, Jimmy.
We need the elected officials that you helped get elected to tell Nancy Pelosi that you will not vote for her as speaker.
AOC's being a Dem and not Dem stock bro. She's starting to realize the truth on being a Democrat in the Republican world. No, I think that what is happening here, like I said, I think that what is happening here is literally AOC weighing her fucking options. Can you read Kyle Steak? I will in a second. Weighing her options, seeing how much influence she has, in the Democratic Party, seeing that it's not fucking enough, and basically saying we need to hold off on pressuring Medicare for all because getting Democrats on the record against Medicare for all right now is not going to do Medicare for all the justice and the service that you think it is. That's my opinion. Maybe AOC has a different opinion than that. But I personally think that getting Democrats on the record to be fucking, to openly say no to Medicare for all in the middle of a pandemic isn't as good as isn't a good look for Medicare for all at all. That's what I was trying to say. It only will, it won't destroy the Democratic Party like you think it is. It won't destroy the Democratic Party like you think it is. Many of these Democratic politicians are not going to be scared into fucking voting yes because there's too much public pressure. It's only going to make Medicare for all look worse. That's my take on it. But maybe I'm wrong. I think putting pressure, especially when there is a lot of public support for it, is ultimately a good thing. How is getting a medical policy during a pandemic a bad look? Because one, it's not going to fucking pass. And two, when you have House Democrats openly fucking push back against it, it's not going to make them look bad. It's going to make the policy look bad, because everyone is going to turn around and say, look, even Democrats don't want Medicare for all. Look at these fucking spoiler ass progressives. It will go along with the narrative. It will go along with the narrative that like the fucking Democrat, the leftists in the Democratic Party are spoilers and bad. Okay.
1 year, Abby.
But maybe I'm wrong. I want Medicare for all, and yeah, a lot of public support means jack shit in this case. When you have outlets like MSNBC and CNN that can spin the narrative to the liking, this is going to turn Medicare for all into a poison pill. Exactly. That's my take. I want Medicare for all. I want them to put pressure on legislators for Medicare for all, but I don't believe that they're going to push for Medicare for all. I don't even believe that they're going to push for the public option. So fucking kill the public option then. Put public option on the docket. Make them say no to the public option. Make them say no to that, because then you're weakening the fucking public option and you're maintaining the integrity of Medicare for all. Because I don't even fucking believe that they want the public option to pass. That was the argument that I think. That is what I believe. Dude, I love your stream and I don't disagree with you on much, but you are tripping on this. I can hear what you're saying, but this is such small action from AOC can take to many people's lives. Well, I don't give a shit about like AOC expending political capital either, by the way. If she wants to do it, then go ahead, go off. I'm talking about protecting the integrity of Medicare for all as a bill. I don't care about AOC's positioning in the party. I don't care about her political capital. I'm specifically talking about this from the point of view of Medicare for all. Okay, in the absence of public pressure that is well organized, when there isn't enough, when there isn't any sort of threat, when there isn't any sort of fucking institutional power or collective bargaining that we can engage in, and we just simply say, we're going to get the Democrats to vote no on Medicare for all, and it's going to be a bad look, Sweaty, in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah, that sounds great, but the reality is that will only make Medicare for all look worse overall. Okay? M4A lost in the primaries. It's not as popular as you think. Okay, you're a fucking moron. It didn't lose in the primaries. If you look at the fucking exit polling data, literally everyone that voted for Joe Biden still was like, yeah, we think Joe Biden is good, and we think that Medicare for all is good. And it's not, now is not the time, by the way. Like, the time is whenever we have the power. Okay? And I don't mean like against the Republicans. I'm not doing the liberal incrementalism. You can do it if you want. You can push for this pressure if you want. But all you're going to get is Democrats saying no to Medicare for all, and then Medicare for all ultimately looking worse overall. That's my take on it. Maybe I'm wrong. And again, I am a fierce advocate for Medicare for all, so I don't care if it's a good thing, and if I am actually wrong, then fuck yeah, that's awesome. Would public option be viewed as a proxy to M4A? A bad vote on the public option would hurt M4A as well? No, it's what you make of it. But we should do Jimmy's plan with a public option and $15 minimum wage and everything Dems campaign on. Biden already said he would support this. What we should not do is concede to Republicans. Can you show an in-depth Medicare for all poll? There's like a million of them. Hold on one second. If the public option fails, then why would the next level beyond work instead? It would poison pill the topic of government healthcare, look worse overall, lol. The public option is one that the Democrats themselves have advocated for. If they go back on their word that they don't even want public option, then it's over. Like that makes them look worse than even saying no on Medicare for all. If your strategic goal is to make Democrats look bad in the middle of a pandemic by voting no for a fucking healthcare proposal that is good for the people, then make them vote no for a healthcare proposal that they themselves said that they wanted to fucking push. You can't say that Joe Biden didn't run on public option. He literally ran on the public option. I personally think he's not even going to go for the public option. That's precisely why I'm saying be a little bit more strategic. If you're going to have them fall on a sword, make them fall on their own goddamn sword. The sword that they claimed that they would fucking wield. The sword that they claimed that they would fight for. That's it. That's the point. Okay, the Dems already don't support public option. They had 59 votes in 2010 and they gave up on it because of Joe Lieberman. No, they do. They do now. They claim that they do now. Let's hear it. Let's see. Let's see them put their money where their fucking mouth is. That's my take. It will make the entire left look bad. Leftists were forcing a doom vote and conservative Dems opposing their party. Republicans win in the end. You have me in the first part, King. Is true. We don't have any real power and we need to build dual power to do this. We need to build an actual workers' party. Okay, shut the fuck up. But yeah, we do need to build outside fucking pressure. It's not going to happen with just, AOC or fucking Ilhan Omar or, 8 other fucking freshman congressional Democrats that are progressive or progressive adjacent. That's not how it's going to work. How it's going to work is if you have that and also organizations, grassroots mobilization all around the fucking country. You have workers unions that are saying we're going to do work stoppages if you don't fucking do this. You have nurses saying we're not going to treat people anymore if you don't fucking do this. That's how you could potentially push for it. That's how you'd have to stress the Republicans to get on board with it as well. The libs' whole gig is promises made, promises broken. Let them die by their own promise. If you're going to let them die by their own promise, why don't you let them die on the public option, which is literally their own promise, whereas the Medicare for All is the leftist promise, making the Medicare for All argument look worse and like a unicorn in the way that they fucking Democrats try to present it is not good overall to pass Medicare for All when you do have any sort of fucking political power to be able to push for it. That's my take. That's why I would rather get them to be on board with the public option, something that I don't think they're going to be on board with anyway. Ultimately, I will never fucking disagree that like applying pressure to congressional Democrats is a bad thing. Okay, establishment Democrats deserve and desperately need to be pressured into doing the right thing. They're never ever going to not do they're never going to do the right thing just because we ask nicely for it or because we want it. So Justin Jackson is absolutely correct in this line where he says power concedes nothing without a demand. That is 1,000% true. Okay, 1,000,000% true. Real question that will help me engage with the folks on here who I think are coming from a good place. Why is a vote on the House floor for Medicare for All considered so obviously better than other demands? What's so useful about the floor? We already know who backs it and who doesn't. Okay, I think I get it. People think the co-sponsor list is fake, but a vote would be real. Sorry to say, but that's so wrong. A vote on a bill won't pass Senate is just as symbolic as the act of co-sponsoring. Exactly. Ryan Grimm is correct on this take as well, by the way. This is the reason why Kamala Harris, for example, is regarded as the most progressive politician in Congress. Why is she the most progressive politician in Congress? Because the only time she was ever in fucking Congress in the Senate was literally when she was a senator under the Trump administration, where she had no power whatsoever and literally voted for the most progressive bills possible. That doesn't mean that she's actually a progressive person. I used to say that all the fucking time whenever people would come in here and be like, but dude, Kamala Harris for VP. I mean, she's like, Kamala Harris for VP, dude. Like, she's the most progressive person. Like, aren't you excited about that? No, I'm not, because all of that progress is literally just nothing. It's garbage. Anyway, they're both posturing. So if you have leverage, get something real. And regardless, by the way, it will still make it seem, the part of which I don't agree with is like, if you have congressional Democrats forced to act, even if they're fucking posturing, they will turn around and be like, this hurts us. This hurts us overall as the National Democratic Party because posturing on Medicare for All hurts us in the long run against the Republicans. That's it. So if you want them to take action, if you want them to posture further by symbolically casting a vote on the floor of on the House, then all you need to do is make them fucking cast the vote on their own proposals, because they don't even want to do their own proposals. Incremental progress is still progress. It's true that Kamala Harris is the most progressive Democrat in office at the moment. That's a fact. That's not a fucking fact. Shut the fuck up.
Wide peepo happy.
Anyway. Biden could give everyone who had COVID Medicare by executive action. That would end up being 30 million more people. They could try to extract a commitment from Pelosi to demand that in exchange for government funding bills, whatever, real things are possible. This is true. You could greatly expand Medicare by executive action, something that Ryan Grimm, both friend of the show Ryan Grimm and friend of the show David Dane, have talked about and discussed in great detail on Ryan's Deconstructed podcast. Or also you can find that proposal and numerous other proposals on the Prospect, on the American Prospect. David Dane is the editor-in-chief of the American Prospect, where they wrote the first 100-day proposals and all of the things that the Biden administration could do, specifically by utilizing previous congressional powers that were afforded to the presidency or the executive orders. So Ryan, when he's not saying weird shit on Twitter, yes, we look away when Ryan says stuff about the dude jerk off McGee or I don't know.
But your
I just refuse to acknowledge those points that Ryan makes. Those are not points that I care about. Yeah, the day one agenda is one article from the Prospect, but the other one is, I think, what Joe Biden could do in the first, what Joe Biden can do with executive orders. Ryan, when he's not talking about Tubin, exactly. I don't know. Ryan has never actually talked about Tubin, so. Okay. Also, we've seen this try. The GOP put Obamacare repeal on the floor 50 times and passed it when they knew Obama would veto it. Then when they got power and they couldn't repeal it, the floor vote had been theater for their gullible base. To demand similar treatment is confused. The funny thing is that a handful of Democrats could band together and actually block Pelosi from becoming speaker. You'd think the tough demand from the left would be to do that, not to capitulate for a theatrical vote on the floor. As opposed to what else? To me, the global pandemic, high death rate, and 14 million kicked off health insurance makes the optics particularly bad for Dems who won't support it. Also, it's enormously popular. The gap between public support and congressional support is shocking. Again, I agree with all of that. I agree with every single thing there. But it's going to be a bad look sweaty for the Democrats isn't the particularly best strategy you think it is. I just don't think it's a good strategy. If you want it to be a bad look sweaty, don't tie it to fucking Medicare for all. Tie it to a plan that they pushed for, like the public option.
Hi Hasan, hi Chad.
I just don't want Medicare for all to be considered like this delusional fucking idea in the way that MSNBC and other Democrats present it as such. Okay? Ryan, you and I both know who backs it and who doesn't, but I can tell you from experience that a centrist in a tough primary battle who has worked to oppose tougher policies for years will pivot to paper support in order to lie. A vote against the policy locks them in for a primary. Don't you think this would be more bad for the establishment Democrats in the general elections against Republicans? Like, I genuinely believe that the people want Medicare for all. If Dems vote against Medicare for all, that might disenfranchise the voters. Not all progressives are primarying everybody. I'm not a troll, just a thought. Fuck you. You said there were no spoilers for the Cyberpunk gameplay, but then you showed the endings. Fuck you, Hasan. Wait, what do you mean? It's not just a bad look. Sweaty people are literally dying. Politics isn't just a sport. It has real consequences. Okay, so the people who say this, do you think magically that it's going to pass in the Senate or something? Like, just because it was brought up in the House and voted on in the House? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Like, I know that people are dying. I want Medicare for all. I've been advocating for Medicare for all this entire fucking time. But do you think that, like, as soon as it gets brought up in the fucking floor the House, that like senators are going to be like, all right, I guess we're down to do this now? Like, no, I know people are dying, but that reality is not going to change. The goal for this forcible vote is specifically, as stated by the people that are wanting to force this to happen, is theatrics, as Ryan correctly pointed out. Theatrics that will make establishment Democrats look bad. Okay? They speculate that it'll make establishment Democrats look bad, but all they need to say is, sorry, this is just not something we can do. It's not feasible because we're afraid of the Republicans. It's just a bad look. And you can point to every single Pew Center study. It doesn't matter. Electability is the main motivator for Democratic voters. So they can just say it's not, it makes us unelectable. And then every one of those fucking hogs, your parents that go out and vote, will then literally be like, well, it's not electable. It just seems like a unicorn proposal. They don't think about it. They have no capacity to fucking dream for better things. They don't think that a better future is even possible. Anyway. Does that make sense? Do you guys understand? Would them shitting on a public option be as damning or as visible as shitting on Medicare for all? I feel like it's much easier for Dems to just sweep any public option rat fucking they do under the rug. Why? It's a very defeatist attitude. I'm a leftist, man. It's a realistic attitude. Where is the Kyle Kalinske take? Oh, I love Kyle. I think Kyle always has really good ideas on this stuff. I think he's very good at crafting these sort of strategies. I would like to hear his take as well. Let's see. No, I don't want to watch a fucking YouTube video. I just want to see his take quickly. Is he hungry? One of the only real tools that the people have left is people power. Public pressure campaigns are great politics. We have a left that's willingly gives up its advantage for backroom talks that they perpetually get rolled. Okay. I don't disagree with this, but I do disagree with utilizing it now for Medicare for all. I just don't believe that they're like, I just don't believe that they are going to, use, the only solution is a home gang AOC versus Pelosi on the floor to the dead. He disagrees with you. None of us disagree on applying pressure to Nancy Pelosi. What we are simply disagreeing on is what is the most bang for your buck. Okay? I believe that the most bang for our buck as lefties is to apply pressure specifically on the fucking promises that Democrats claimed that they were going to do. If it's ultimately a symbolic move, then don't allow Medicare for all to get fucking cast aside. Okay? Don't allow Medicare for all to get cast aside in this conversation. Focus your efforts on public option. I want Medicare for all to pass, but why would you fucking throw that as a pure theatrical point? That's my take on it. If you force a vote on Medicare for all, even if you lose, you win. You're the people who fought for healthcare during a pandemic with 300K deaths and millions hemorrhaging insurance. You remind people of that constantly, and you ride the wave in 2022. The naysayers who think they're clever strategists are the exact opposite. They're just rationalizing the status quo and pretending it's edgy and intelligent. I don't know. I think it would be a better look. I think it would be a better look to get them to force, if they're not going to push for it, if the Democrats are not going to push for it regardless, then get them to fucking push for a public option, which they promised they were going to do. If your entire goal is to make the establishment Democrats look fucking silly as shit and liars, then again, make them look like fucking liars on something that they claim they would advocate for, that I know they're not going to. Okay? Hasan is most definitely not too online. We have the numbers to start a grassroots movement. We just have to realize as citizens that if we start making waves, they have no choice but to listen. We have more power than most because the country thinks, but I understand that they doubt it because the government has belittled the citizens and they fuck the system. Yeah. What is this? The right wing. The right wing and center never put aside their priorities and then rationalize their failures. They relentlessly push and message coalition to build, twist arms, and take no prisoners. Only the left is dumb enough to pretend defeatism is edgy and intelligent and necessary. Wait, I agree with this as well. If Medicare for all is going to lose in the
Right,
current
so
political
keep it up,
climate,
proud of
you
you.
either go down laying down or go down fighting. If you fight, you one, get people on the record. We know who to primary. Two, shift the Overton window in your favor, like the Tea Party. Force the vote, no brainer. Leftists arguing against having votes on our core issues are doing the establishment's work for them. You're not doing some brilliant, high-minded strategy. We don't understand. You're just weak, scared of the consequences, and rationalizing. The left, unfortunately, has to be a big tent party because the Senate structurally disadvantages them. No, you guys are misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm not saying that we need to fucking cave and concede to the public option and advocate for the public option. What I'm conceding or caving to is the notion that no matter what fucking initiative Democrats have claimed they care about, whether it's the public option or Medicare for all, they're not going to do it because they're terrified of fucking public pressure. So my goal is to protect the integrity of Medicare for all as a proposal rather than allow it to be open to fucking additional attacks that will inevitably occur. So that is I don't have a problem with pressuring Nancy Pelosi. I don't have a problem with fucking pressuring the Democratic Party. I simply do not want additional attacks to occur on Medicare for all at a time when it's purely symbolic. If it's purely symbolic, and in that sense, by the way, I disagree with AOC. I think AOC should apply pressure to Nancy Pelosi. I don't even agree with AOC in that respect. I think AOC and others should pressure Nancy Pelosi. So I am in agreement with Kyle and Justin and even Jimmy Dore in that regard. You're just caping kind of blindly for AOC in that case. I am not caping blindly for AOC in that case because, again, you are failing to understand what I am saying. Okay? Pressure them, but pressure them on something that they themselves have advocated for that I do not believe they're going to do. Okay? They themselves are not going to push for the public option. And if it's theatrical and if it's going to be considered fucking, too much to do and too much to win elections over with, then fucking make them vote on the public option. They said that they were going to run on the public option. That's precisely what Joe Biden ran on. I think that's a better strategy to go about it. Forcing the Medicare for all vote is one thing, but AOC on the record is saying Pelosi doesn't support her. Why should she support Pelosi for speaker? Yeah, I don't have a problem with like fucking pressuring Nancy Pelosi or not wanting Nancy Pelosi to be speaker. Even though Nancy Pelosi is still a complex individual who has given AOC and Ilhan Omar really good positions